Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my review of Make Time by Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky. This is actually one of the books from my 2022 non-fiction TBR and I went in with pretty high expectations. I'm very glad to say that this book did not disappoint me in any way because I got almost everything that I wanted out of this book. It has also been very famous for the past 2 years since the pandemic started and many people started doing some side hustles. I'll try to keep this video as short as possible so that you can get the gist of the book and go forward and start reading it. So without any further ado, let's get into the review right away. Now this book is basically just a framework that is developed by the authors in order to make time for the things that we want to do in our life but we cannot find the time in order to do them. It just consists of 3 main steps, namely highlight, laser and reflect, and for each and every one of these 3 steps the authors have discussed different strategies and methods that you can use in your life so that you can get the outcomes that you desire. It's not like each and every method will work for each and every person out there, so the authors have also made sure to list as many different strategies and methods that they can use. For some parts of the book we even go to the extent of 70 or 80 different ways in order to achieve that particular step's goal properly. I'll just tell you about these 3 steps and the buffer that is included in between these 3 steps and some of the strategies that the authors have discussed inside this book. The first step is highlight. So for this step you'll have to select one thing that you want to do on a particular day so that that day becomes very useful for you, and the process that you have to keep in mind while you're taking the highlight is that you have to select a thing which is actually necessary in order to be completed and not something which is easier to complete, because we always tend to pick up easier things and finish them first because they give some kind of satisfaction for us that we have completed a task, but that is not the right way to choose a highlight. The highlight should be something which makes you feel satisfied and accomplished by the end of the day. For example, my highlight for this day is filming this video, so that after I film this video my highlight is over and by the end of the day I don't feel like I have not done anything, and it also adds some value for my life. In the same way, if you're a student, you can consider your highlight as completing one chapter of a particular subject in that particular day, or if you're working, you can consider your highlight as making a few slides for one presentation that you have to deliver tomorrow. These are just some examples of highlights. The highlight need not be a big thing. It can just be a very short thing that takes half an hour or 1 hour to complete, but you have to choose a highlight in order to make use of the next 2 steps. Now while you're choosing this highlight, you will get this confusion of when will I set this highlight inside the day that I have. So in order to make time for fitting that highlight inside your day, there are these 2 things which you have to pay attention to. The first one is infinity pools and the second one is busy bandwagons. First we'll talk about the infinity pools, which are just the social media apps and news sites that we continuously visit throughout the day. It might feel like we are just spending 5 or 10 minutes each and every time we get into Instagram and check the feed and DMs that we have, but if we do it continuously for 20 to 30 times a day, it takes a huge chunk of our time and we don't feel accomplished in any way at all. Most of the time what happens is, after you spend a lot of time inside social media, when you come out, your energy is probably drained and you don't feel accomplished in any way, and it just adds on to your anxiety. So the first thing to look out for is these infinity pools and try to minimize them as much as you can so that you can dedicate the time that you spend there in order to do your highlight. The second one is the busy bandwagons, like the emails and newsletters that we frequently receive. Emails are the things which the authors mainly concentrate while they are talking about the busy bandwagons, because not each and every email needs to be responded to immediately. You can take a day or 2 and respond to the emails properly and slowly because they are not of that much importance most of the times. So they are considered as busy bandwagons because it feels like you're doing work, but out of that work you don't get that much value because you spent a significant amount of time doing that work. So the first thing you have to look out for are these infinity pools and busy bandwagons, because they are the things which drain out the time that you have in your day and make you have not enough time in order to do your highlight. The next step is the most crucial of all the steps inside this book, if you ask me, because it is laser, and laser is the step during which you're going to give all your complete energy on the task at hand that you selected as the highlight in the time that you made to do it. I'm saying that this is the most crucial of all the steps inside this book, because if you're not able to focus on the task at hand that you selected as the highlight in the time that you allocated for it, there is no point in selecting a highlight as well as making time for it, right? In order to help you concentrate on the task at hand, the authors have given around 70 to 80 techniques that you can follow, and it is not necessary to follow the same technique over and over again. You can experiment with different things and see the outcomes for yourself, because not every method suits for every person and the same method might not work on different working days for you. I can say that of all the 3 parts, that was my most favorite, because I don't just do YouTube, I also have a full-time job, and after doing that I'll have to sit down and read, script my videos, edit my videos and all such things. So in order to concentrate on the task that I'm doing at that particular instant, I need to focus properly, because after work I'll be probably exhausted and I cannot waste the time being tired, right? So in order to develop my concentration, I can say that the laser part of the book helped me so much. Now along with the laser step, there is also this buffer step called Energize, because that is the step which is used by the authors in order to make us understand how much energy is necessary for us in order to do the work that we have in hand. I'm sure that the energy level of different people vary across the day. For example, I'm a morning person, and if I have to select a highlight, I'll have to place that highlight in the beginning of the day for me, because that's the time during which I have the most energy. For example, if I'm not able to fit that highlight in the morning hours of the day because I have some other other work in hand, I'll have to fit that highlight during some other part of the day, and most probably I'll not have that much energy that I have in the morning in order to do it during the rest of the day. In order to increase my energy during that time and properly utilize that highlight as well as the time that I've made to do it, there are multiple things that the authors say here, starting from the food habits that we have, the exercises that we need to do, the relationships that we have with our family as well as friends. Most of all, the relationship that we have with ourselves, especially with our physical health, is a very important focus throughout the Energize step. They talk about evolution also in some sense in order to properly articulate what they are trying to tell us through the Energize step as well as the laser step also. Final step inside this book is reflect, and the authors also say that this is a very important step because this is a step during which you're going to take a back turn and see the outcomes of the various things that you did throughout the day during the night, so that you can choose what techniques worked for you and what did not. While you're taking notes of all the results that you have, you'll be able to see which techniques give positive results for you and which don't give that great results. It's not like you can just follow one single technique for one particular day and decide that that is going to work for you. In order to choose the proper technique that suits you, you'll have to do it for over a few days or weeks so that you get the hang of it and also it becomes a habit. At the same time, you don't get misguided because the same technique cannot work for different types of tasks. Another thing which I liked about this book is that the last page of this book actually consists of a template that the authors have prepared themselves. You can just take photocopies of that template itself, or you can download it from their website and use that to do the reflection that the authors say during each and every day, so that you can record the outcomes of the techniques that you followed and choose the technique that suits you well. As a whole, I can say that this book is super perfect for beginners, and if I had read this book like 2 years back when I started YouTube, it could have been much more useful for me than it is right now. There are multiple things inside this book which the authors have talked about that I have used prior reading this one itself in my life, and the results of them have always been positive and made enough time for me in order to do all the work that I want to do. So to conclude, I can say that though this book is super hyped, it is very much worth the hype. I can understand that it is a bit expensive, over 600 rupees on Amazon itself, so it might not be suitable for everyone's budget, but if you are considering this as an investment, I'm sure that it is a great investment. I'm also going to go back and see various techniques that the authors have talked about in this book, because this is not a book which you can just read once and toss it away, because there are hundreds of things that the authors have talked about across the book, and I'm sure that at least one thing from all those 100 things will work out for you, and it can help you make a lot more time which you can use in order to do the thing that you want to do. In conclusion, I can say that I found this book very useful as well as enjoy the experience of reading it because it was very simple to read, so I'd highly recommend it to any beginner out there. My rating for this one is 4.75 stars because I have seen some techniques that the authors have talked about in this book in some of the books that I've read before. Other than that, I can say that this is a completely apt book for having the title Make Time. I hope this video was useful for you and gave you an idea of what this book is about. So if you did find this video useful in some way or the other, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.